The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, all my crayon eaters out there? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 220. Today's date is the date that will live in infamy. December 7th, 2021, 80 years ago today, the attack on Pearl Harbor, which essentially entered us into World War II. 80 years ago. It's kind of crazy to think about that. 80 years ago. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. If you're out there in the chat, go ahead and say something. We don't know that you're out there unless you do. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, let us know where you're from. We'll try to give you a shout out, maybe pop that cherry a little bit. We cannot promise to make you any smarter. We just hope not to make you any dumber. If you're out there and you want to call or text, yes, you can call and text. You can do that using the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at Aegis Gun Care. That number is scrolling right down below. That number is 530-364-4678. If you're a veteran, really anybody, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're looking for the way out, and you're wondering if there's still light out there, first of all, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, but I can probably be a pretty decent ear to listen to and maybe talk you through some stuff. If you are looking for someone that can get you towards some medical advice, then please remember two things. One, you're not alone in this fight. You have a lot of brothers and sisters out here that are willing to help. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So please, please, please utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255. The Veteran Crisis Hotline. They ask you, the veterans, press the number 1. As always, we are spotlighting the United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, please visit the website, marines.com. And we are always a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Please visit selfdefenseradio.net for all of your favorite 2A, gun-loving, gun freedom-loving podcasts that are out there. So let's get this off my ugly mug. Bring in my my shotgun rider. So let's say hi to, from the great state of Texas. I'm just, he's not a virus anymore. He's proven himself. He's proven himself. So, what's up, Clove? How you doing, bud?
Yo.
What is the shotgun of the week?
Let's go with an H&R topper.
Oh, what?
An H&R topper.
All right. What is that?
It's a single shot.
Okay. All right. We got a new channel out there. We all know this was coming. The Tactical FUD is out there. Hi, this is my first time here. It is. The Tactical FUD is there. Nice to see you. I guess we'll call them Tactical FUD or T-FUD or TF,
T-FUD.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you christening, are you blessing this channel there, King FUD, or?
I'm okay with it. I will allow it.
With it. Yeah. All right. We've got, let's say hi to some people out there. F&H talking about the crappy Christmas gifts. He said, I once received a butterfly coloring book and a pack of colored pencils. I was super pissed. Colored pencils, that's in the genre of crayons a little bit. Maybe I might need something to wash that down with, because pencils are a little bit harder to eat than crayons, but it's in that food group. So I don't know. George Washington said, I got a box of dog shit a few years ago from his older brother. That's good family right there. That's really good family right there. G23's out there. Gun loving grandpa. Gunpowder beauty is out there. I think I said G23. G23. Aegis, Rod and Shelly are out there. Aegis Gun Gear. Go check them out. Great stuff. Clover Tag says, whoop. Who are you gonna whoop? I don't know. Roz says it's 6. Let's go. Easy camper. Easy. Let's see here. Tactical FUD. Lance is out there off the X. Missed Lance on Sunday. We went to the range. Some of us went out to the range and got some really good shooting in. Let's see here. Keith, my favorite squid's out there. What's up, Keith? And Mr. President, General George Washington, anyone getting any winter camping in? Negative, Ghost Rider, pattern is full. Now the tactical FUD, he says he loves shotguns as long as he can put a red dot on it, and that I guess that goes along with the tactical FUD, a shotgun with a red dot. So yeah. Do you have any dots on any of your shotguns there, King FUD?
Believe it or not, I do. I have
dots.
Do
you really?
on 2 different ones. Yeah, I have dots on 2, and I have scopes on 2.
Okay, yeah. So let me ask you this: like the reasoning, like when you're reasoning behind putting a dot on a shotgun for people out there that are wondering if you can and if you should, what would be some reasons and all of that to put a dot on a shotgun?
Honestly, it's not going to help you much in the world of like bird hunting and sporting clays and stuff like that, but it could be potentially beneficial, with competitive situations like run and gun style events. I mean, that it could be beneficial in that, particularly if you're in some scenarios or courses that would require slugs. Then I mean that could be,
Sure.
and then some hunting situations. I mean, if you were utilizing slugs or buckshot or something like that, it something closer range with deer. I mean, some people really have an issue when it comes to lining up on the comb properly and just the mechanics of shotgunning in general. So that red dot does help out with that aspect. Like I said, in more of a static situation, static target, I should say, rather than, but all bets are off on that. If you're trying to use that for a moving target, it's just your lead and everything. You're just not going to be able to, watch that red dot while you're trying to watch your target, while you're trying to get a lead and all of that when you're talking about, birds or clays or something of that nature. So it's going to be hindrance in that. Yeah.
Tactical FUD says room clearing. What do you think about that?
Sure. I mean, that's a static target.
Yep.
For the most part.
Yeah, and I guess if you're using that red dot and you're in close enough to where that spread is still compact, you could definitely, it would help you. Now, if you start getting out 25, 30 yards, 40 yards or whatever, that spread's going to be out to where it is and all bets are off. But yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Yep. I'm a little surprised you got a dot on a couple shotguns though. Interesting. Yeah.
There's a few out there on the market that are coming with them. So,
oh really?
Like the Gerson, M3. Let me back up. The Gerson MC312 Sport. There, I got it out. There's several variations, models of that, but one of them does come with it's really weird, the little sight mark red dot that's been around for years. Was it called the micro shot, I think, or something? Yeah. It literally looks like a big version. It looks like they went to sight mark and said, hey, we want one like 4 times bigger than this. Can you make one? Because it literally looks like the exact same, just blowed up.
Probably did. I mean, it very well could be.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny, but yeah, it come with one from the factory. So
George is asking if anyone got any of the new Remington 870s in. Nope.
I'm not the biggest, Remington 870 for me. I'm a Mossberg fan, right? So Remington 870 for me falls into that category for me of like a 1911. It's like, do I own a couple? Yeah. Do I respect the heritage from a lot of the the prison issued 870s and stuff, the old school, and all of that. Yeah, I mean, certainly, and I'm not going to badmouth them. At least the older models.
I'm not going to badmouth. I'm not going to turn one down. But if I had an 870 and a Mossberg 500, I'm taking the Mossberg 500.
I'm taking the Mossberg. That's me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So everyone knows we do our polls. We try to do those at the beginning of the show every week, and I think people enjoy them. If you guys didn't know, we put out polls every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday morning at 10 a.m., and they're fun. get over there, and we'd like to have a good time with them and all of that. So let's go over and see the polls. The polls from this week. Last Thursday, it's got 794 votes. It says, "Do you own an ugly Christmas sweater?" Clove, do you own an ugly Christmas sweater?
Negative.
Okay, your choices are yes, no, or my fashion coordinator recommends not to tell. So right now, 76% say no, 20% say yes, and 4% said their fashion coordinator recommended not to tell. So I'm going to say that's a yes. So we'll go 24% saying yes. I don't think I do. Now, I don't have any quote unquote ugly Christmas sweaters. I have some sweaters that are probably people consider ugly, but they're not Christmas sweaters. So I don't know. Our next poll out there, this will be a fun one. From Saturday, has 782 votes. What's your favorite Christmas movie? Choices for this poll are Christmas Vacation, It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story, Elf, or other, and you better not say Die Hard. What's your favorite Christmas movie of that list? And then we'll go on from there.
I didn't even read the list or anything.
Okay, so the choices are Christmas Vacation.
Oh, Christmas Vacation. Yeah.
In case anybody out there is wondering,
we can go with that. We can go with that.
When he's not talking, it's all about him. He doesn't listen to a damn thing I say. So just for people out there.
That's not true, but I mean,
I just went through the choices and you didn't even hear them. Yeah,
well,
Christmas Vacation.
They're all irrelevant compared to the true Christmas movie. But anyway,
I agree.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation. Go ahead and rattle off the other ones, but it's going to be Christmas Vacation. I'm positive of it.
Christmas Vacation, It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, I'm not a big one of that. A Christmas Story, Elf, and other, and you better not say Die Hard is what I put on there.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I don't. I'm not one of those that thinks that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but I'm not one to sit there and argue that it's not either. You know,
that makes for boring TV then.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where I just don't think that it is. It's an action movie based in the Christmas time. So technically, if you go by the argument that everyone makes about Die Hard being a Christmas movie, we can say that Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie. We could say that Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
No. Now Gremlins, yes,
they are based around. Well, if you remember, part of Lethal Weapon is Christmas time because they have the lights when the toilet explodes and all of that. So technically it's around the Christmas time.
Yeah, but could that, here's the question, could that have happened at any other time of the year? Could the events of that movie have happened at any other time of the year? Gremlins, no, because he got the Mogwai for Christmas present, right?
I'll give you that one.
We're covered. That whole hijacking or heist happened because of Christmas and the way that the vaults and everything locked down. If you go through the Clarence, what's his name, the black dude that was the tech dude and all of that, there was a reason that they did that when they did that. Not only did they do that, had there not been a Christmas party, blah blah blah, at that particular time, John McClane would not have been there. So it had to, all of that had to take place at Christmas for that storyline to play out.
Once again, don't argue that. I just think it's a really great movie based around Christmas time. Don't think it's a Christmas story, a movie. It's just me, and I know that I'm in the minority. As of right now, leading in 29% is other, and the vast majority of those are Die Hard. We got a few other movies thrown in there, like Scrooge was mentioned, which is a great movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's see, it had 62 comments. Let's just kind of go through Die Hard, Die Hard.
Right.
A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. Polar Express was mentioned. That's a decent one. I'm not a huge one, but it's not bad. It's one of those that if it's on and nothing else is on, I don't mind watching that. My daughter likes it. My wife likes that, actually.
So I don't have a problem with, I don't like it, but that's the movie is not why I don't like it. So,
Yeah.
literally, as the crow flies, several hundred yards is a railroad track.
Yes.
And that railroad runs, good Lord, I don't know, what, 20 miles, 25 miles? I don't know, something along that lines, that
Mm,
particular section of railroad. And every year, this time, they're running it right now. If I walked outside, probably eventually hear whistles blowing and stuff, but they run a Polar Express train. And so the traffic is crazy, and it's just the trains going through at all hours of the night. And yeah, I don't like it.
yeah. I'll tell you what, we got some weird Home Alone.
Ooh,
I would actually, that was a great movie. The original Home
the
Alone
first one. Yeah.
was great.
Yep.
And I totally forgot about it. I might have put that on the list
Hmm.
had I remembered that one. I might have taken, I don't know, like It's a Wonderful Life, because I know it's an all-time great. I can't stand it. It bores the hell out of me.
Hmm.
It's one of those movies you see once and you've seen it. You're
So,
done. I can watch. Oh my god, I can watch Home Alone. Just Joe Pesci and what's the other guy's name?
oh, so good. Daniel,
Uh,
is it Daniel something?
yeah, I think you're right. But my god, I could watch that. Just the torch and all the torture that he puts those guys through. I could watch Home Alone. Great. I could have put on. I don't know about you. I'm a big fan of all of them. Really, I think I like one or two of them more than others. But
Daniel
uh,
Stern.
Daniel Stern, yeah. But do you like the Santa Claus movies with Tim Allen? I like them a lot.
Yeah, they're okay. They're okay. I'll tell you ones that I like more that are more modern is the what is it? The Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
They're on Netflix, or they used to be. I guess maybe they surely they still are because I think they're Netflix movies. But yeah, the Christmas Chronicles. I think for me those trump the Santa Claus at this point. I think I'd rather watch those.
Yeah, I've never seen that, so I might have to go and watch those. I
Now,
love the Santa Claus movies, but yeah, Home Alone. I can't believe I forgot Home Alone.
Now, not really a Christmas movie, even though it's about Santa Claus, is Fat Man, which I watched for the first time the other night.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was interesting.
I bet.
I won't give any spoilers, but that's kind of interesting that a kid puts a hit out on Santa Claus because you got coal in his stocking or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so that was interesting. And another one, if you talk about like, I guess it was billed as a horror film, I guess, but Krampus. Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
To me, it was funny. There was some funny parts in that movie. It wasn't a horrible movie. It was kind of over the top scary, in my in
Sure.
my opinion. I don't know what kind of scary to call it. It wasn't like a gore fest or anything like that. It was
Right.
kind of a weird mixture of comedy and horror. But some of the dialogue and some of the other, like the gingerbread man with the that come down the chimney with the fat kid. Remember that part? Oh my god, that's like the most hilarious thing ever. So
Yeah, some of the great ones that are out there, not great ones, but Ernest Saves Christmas was
yep,
mentioned.
yeah,
Um,
much better than the Ernest Halloween one. That was
oh
horrible.
God.
But nothing will ever beat Ernest
Miracle on
Goes to
34th
Campus.
Street, Holiday Inn, White Christmas, Bad Santa. Bad Santa was mentioned a bunch.
Yep.
Um, let's see here, going through Jingle All the Way.
Hmm.
Polar Express was mentioned, but the vast majority. Trading Places wasn't
Eh?
Christmas, was it? I know it was wintertime. It's cold. I don't remember it being Christmas. I don't know. Maybe it was.
Yeah, I don't remember either on that.
Scrooge was mentioned a lot as well. So yeah,
What
all
was?
that. Scrooged.
Oh yeah, Scrooged. Yeah.
That's a great one. Great one. But right now, like I said, 29% says other. 24% is a Christmas Story. I love A Christmas Story. I've always wanted to try to see if my tongue would get frozen to a light pole, but I never was stupid enough to do it. But man, that would be fun to do. Christmas Vacation, which I think is a travesty, is only at 22%. That is the epitome of a Christmas movie. That is the one movie that no matter what we watch every year, a Christmas Vacation will be watched. And it is the greatest. I don't care what anybody says. Christmas Vacation is the greatest Christmas movie ever. It's a Wonderful Life got 14% and Elf got 11. Come on, people. Elf is wonderful. Actually, Elf's terrible. There are a few phenomenal scenes in Elf, but overall, it's just like any other Will Ferrell movies. For the most part, most Will Ferrell movies are actually terrible movies, but he makes them so funny because he really doesn't care. He's going to do whatever it takes physically to get a laugh and all that, which I think is what makes him a great comedian. But yeah, the last one was sent out yesterday, and it's got 673 votes. What is the worst Christmas gift? Worst Christmas gift. So I want to hear you guys out there in the chat as well. For the poll, your choices were scented candles, underwear, gift card / cash, cleaning supplies, and no, not a great gift like an Aegis gun cleaning kit, but like house cleaning supplies or a regift. So of those, what would be the worst in your eyes of this list? What would be the worst?
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna chastise you because you should have specific. When I seen cleaning supplies, the first thing I thought was actually gun cleaning supplies, right? So you should have been more specific. Second of all, I'm going to address the regift because unless somebody tells you or it was a gift you gave them, how do you know it was a regift, right? I could potentially get some very awesome gifts that were regifts. It could happen. So that kind of eliminated those for me. And then what was the other one? It was gift cards and scented candles. So I picked scented candles
in underwear. Yeah.
Because so underwear, I'm totally fine with socks and underwear every single year.
I don't mind. I don't mind getting underwear at all. I don't mind it.
That's one less thing I got to buy throughout the year. I'm good with it. So the scented candles would be the lower, and I think that's what I picked. But gift cards come in a really close second to me as far as hate compared to cash, because I know a lot of people do it, but that is just it's just so impersonal. At least gift cards are one notch up, or at least that person maybe is thinking about you like to shop at this place, right? So there's a little bit of thought in that with a gift card. But
see, I disagree in that. Yeah, cash is so impersonal. Yeah. Gift cards, here's the thing about gift cards though. If it's a gift card to like Starbucks or Best Buy or something like that, I can't stand those. Can't stand them because I'm probably not going to remember to use it when I go to that place, whatever. If you're going to give me a gift card, just make it like a prepaid like Visa card that I can use anywhere, Amazon or wherever. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, but gift cards all too often get spent on just rudimentary, remedial, stupid things. And so that's again, and cash does too, to an extent.
Well,
and
that's why I think those are the worst, personally.
You don't really get anything, to speak of.
There is the argument that my daughter will use, who's 24, and I guess most people that are of that age. Money is great. They can pay rent, they can pay whatever. But she actually will say, like, I'm gonna say, don't get me clothes. Like, give me a gift card and let me go pick out the clothes that I want.
Clothes I could understand. Like outerwear clothes, right? I mean, underwear and socks. I mean, that's a pretty easy, pretty safe bet. But at least for guys. But yeah, I mean, the younger crowd does seem to be. My kids are that way, of course, and the younger crowd seems to be more okay with the impersonalization of gift giving. The older crowd truly adheres to the thought. It's the thought that counts.
I enjoy thinking of something that like my daughter would never think about getting. I know she would love, but she wouldn't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, holy shit, that's awesome. I enjoy that stuff. And one of the things that I got her, I think she's gonna like that. Now, Man Against the Masses says any Glock model. Just kidding. But, there's a lot of people that would agree with you. I'm not one of them, but there are a lot of people that would think that if I was to give them a Glock, they'd be pissed about it. Even though they got a free gun, they'd be pissed about it was a Glock. There are people out there that think that way. So,
Maybe the
Um,
same way with being given a new car or anything else, or a new house.
you gave me
You,
a new car,
you
but you gave me
what?
blah 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 blah. You gave me a Prius,
I can't believe you gave me a brand new double wide. It's like,
right?
okay.
Okay. TJ says that socks and underwear are the main items I get. Same here, and I love it.
Yeah.
I'm very particular. I know it sounds crazy. I'm very particular in the underwear and socks that I wear.
Mm.
But I get some every
Is
year,
there
and I'm very appreciative of it.
is there any better feeling as far as clothes, like
Okay.
things feel on your skin? You talk about silk and satin, and you talk about all other things.
I'm not a big silk guy.
Is there anything more wonderful than a pair of socks fresh out of the package, like never been through the washing
Yes.
machine? Like,
Yes.
oh,
One thing that's better. A fresh pair of socks that just came out of the dryer. Love that. I love,
that's
especially in the
true too.
wintertime. It's
That's
pretty
true
good.
too.
In the
Well,
wintertime, like you
as
get those wool
long,
socks and you put them in the dryer for a few minutes before you put them on in the mornings.
yeah,
Oh, that's pretty good.
I would have
Pretty
to
good.
caveat that by saying they can't be too old. They still have to have some
No, 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 no.
freshness to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
Because at some point, old socks, they just have a stale feeling, whether they're warm or not.
Mhm. Yep. No, you're right. Now, Tactical Fun up there, he wins. He says hand-me-down underwear might be the worst gift.
Yeah,
That's true.
right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Hand-me-down underwear might probably be the worst gift ever.
Yeah.
Especially if it hasn't been washed before it was hand-me-down. So, yeah. F&H says, I use my CZ805 Bren 5.56 pistol for home defense. Nice. Screaming Skull Saloon says, best Christmas present I ever got was my 1986 G.I. Joe Cobra Night Raven. Holy shit.
Oh,
That's
nice.
pretty cool. Let's see here.
Nice.
G23 says, absolutely nothing. Well, that I guess if you're not going to get any gifts, that would be the worst gift, is not getting anything. I guess that could be. Some people would probably enjoy that, though. Buck out there says he's working double duty. He's working both those channels right now. He said he had some silk underwear and kept sliding. Yeah, I'm not a big silk boxer guy. Never did enjoy that.
They
I like
tend to ride up in all the wrong
briefs.
places.
Yeah, I wear boxer briefs, which are like the cotton ones, but they're long. Kind of, they look like compression shorts almost, but they're long. I really enjoy those. Yeah. So yeah, those are fun. As of right now, 49%. The good thing is you're right. I should have put out there with a caveat of cleaning supplies meant not gun cleaning supplies, but it looks like the vast majority, or at least 49% of the people understood that, because 49% of the people voted cleaning supplies. And I doubt very seriously they would say that gun cleaning supplies would be the worst Christmas gift. So 49% said cleaning supplies.
Well,
yeah.
On the note of cleaning supplies, I got to argue that. And of course, that wasn't my pick. So back in the days when my wife was doing extreme couponing, right? It was nothing. It was nothing for us. It was nothing for us to have like 20 cans of Lysol and 30 bottles of Spick and Span and 18,000 rolls of paper towels. And you feel what I'm saying?
Oh, I get it.
6,000 freaking buckets of Tide washing detergent. So we would literally we've done this. We would go to Walmart and get like a big laundry basket, right? And actually fill it with laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, basically, right? And like every family got a basket of cleaning supplies. And actually, that was one of the things most everybody was happy about, because that stuff tends to be fairly expensive. And that's less of that you got to buy. And you're going to have to buy that.
In the practical manner, sure, it's a great gift, but buy that for me on Wednesday, not on Christmas,
Right.
26% says the re-gift. 12% say underwear. I strongly disagree with that. 10% is scented candles, and 3% say gift cards. So I think that the The majority of the people like gift cards, obviously. Only 3% said it's the worst. I'm surprised that more people like scented candles than they do underwear. I don't get it. I would have picked scented candle myself. My wife might disagree with that, but for me, I'm
The
definitely recommending scented candles.
the only use for me for a candle period is if the lights are out. We have no electricity.
Same. And I
And
don't
then
give a shit what it smells
and
like.
in that instance I care not what it could be unscented, it could be whatever, I don't care.
Don't care. Yeah. So I'm gonna chill real quick. It's cold here. I just came home and I had some hot chocolate waiting for me. If you guys, most people know that I'm not a coffee drinker. I can't stand coffee, but I love me some hot chocolate. So trying out the brand new to the market Operator Coffee now offers hot chocolate, and I've got to admit it's freaking good. Operator Coffee hot chocolate, really good, really good. um I make mine, I make mine. I learned from my wife, and she makes it. Now I make it this way, but with milk and this cocoa powder. Don't have to add anything else. It is really good. If you're out there and you like hot chocolate, go check out Operator Coffee. It is a veteran-owned business. If that means anything to you guys, then go check out Operator Coffee's hot chocolate. I am really enjoying it, and I like what I like about it. Clover and I were talking beforehand. I'm pretty particular about my hot chocolate. I know that sounds really strange, and I get it. It probably is strange, but too many times, too many companies try to get too damn fancy with their hot chocolate. I want just regular cocoa hot chocolate. I don't need any dark chocolate or peppermint or any kind of weird flavors added to it. Just give me hot chocolate. That's why for so long I just went with the old Swiss Miss hot chocolate because I knew what I was getting. It was not going to be fancy. It was just simple, straight up hot chocolate. But this is pretty good because it's not fancy. It's just straight up a really good, rich hot chocolate. Um, I know that you are a hot chocolate connoisseur as well. What's your favorite? Do you have a go-to hot chocolate if you had to pick one?
Oh, my go-to is just basic, man. I go, as far as go-to, I go to Swiss Miss with marshmallows.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
hard to go wrong, and the price point and everything
Price
else.
point, and you know what you're gonna get. Like I said, you know
And
what you're gonna
there's
get. Swiss Miss.
Yeah, and there's, very consistent. And one thing I know, there's this thing of, do you drink it with milk? Do you drink it with water? Well, any packaged cocoa typically has powdered milk in it, which is good.
Yep.
Um, but I find that with Swiss Miss, because milk is one of those things, especially whole milk. I
Mhm.
mean, you can have, if you're trying to work through the keto thing, you can have like heavy whipping cream and some half and half and things like that. But like milk's almost out of the question. So, um, I can incorporate some of that every now and then with the water, and I find that Swiss Miss has it seems to have a higher concentration of the powdered milk than some of the other brands.
Oh, for shizzle. Yeah. I'm
But I
trying.
did tell you, I'm interested if anybody out there, since we're talking about hot chocolate, if
Yeah.
anybody out there has ever had hot chocolate from Starbucks, chime in out there because I'm curious, because I'm tempted to try that. My wife gets Starbucks really often, and I never get anything. We just go by there and she gets our coffee. And I'm curious. I may start, I may have to try it out and see what happens.
I'm looking. I'm pretty sure I thought I did. So F and H says, "What's in the care packages you send to our men and women? Have you ever made a video detailing what's in a care package?" I'm almost positive I did. I'm looking through my videos. I'm almost positive we either did a video on it or had a bunch of stuff on the podcast about it. I can't find it. It's probably one of the podcasts that we were talking about all that, because I went to like I remember, I think it was on a podcast. So if you look back about this time last year in the Armed Citizen, it's probably in one of those, honestly. But there's websites out there that the DoD especially will put out kind of what, if you go like to DoD, just Google like DoD care packages, and it'll kind of update it regularly about what's being asked for from the troops overseas and what they're looking for. Honestly, a lot of it is, it's going to sound weird, and this goes back into kind of ironically what we're talking about with the bad gifts, but a lot of times it's socks, underwear, t-shirts, that kind of stuff, socks and underwear especially. And here's why. It sounds bad. One, you don't have a lot to take. You don't have a lot. It's not like you can take 17 pieces of luggage with you when you go down range. You get a sea bag and maybe a duffel bag on top of that, pack back or something. So you don't get to bring like a whole bunch of stuff, and so you're not sitting there with 30 pairs of socks, 30 t-shirts, 30 pairs of underwear, and all that. Second of all, it sounds bad also, but it's not like you can just do laundry whenever the hell you want over there. So socks, underwear are big ones. Stuff like that, toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of stuff. Do they have a little mini PX over there? They have like a makeshift store, and they'll bring supplies in that we can buy and all that stuff, but getting it, toothbrush, toothpaste, stuff like that, kind of the essential stuff is really, anything is wonderful, but typically socks, underwear, toothbrush, toothpaste, stuff like that really go a long way. Really, really go a long way. So, but yeah, if you want to go over to just Google DoD care package contents, and it will kind of tell you what everyone's kind of asking for and all that. So, maybe I should do another video. I thought I made one, but it must have been on a podcast. But I probably should do one. As far as what I send, I personally, it sounds bad, I don't send personal care packages over. I donate to organizations that do, because they know exactly from command what they're needing and what they're wanting. So I pay them, and then they have all these care packages they send over there. And they know exactly what people are looking for. And sometimes people get to actually request what they want, and it might be a personalized for Clover Tack that he asks for certain things, and they can go out and get it. So yeah, that's what I do. And it's not that I don't want to make my own box. It's really comes down to they know exactly what's needed at that time. So yeah, great question though. G23, get out. You've been banned. He said dark chocolate is the best, hands down. You are absolutely outside your mind. Outside, you and my wife would get along. She loves like the dark chocolate. She likes the fancy shit hot chocolate though. Let's see here. Swiss Miss is the best. I like you, Buck. Gunpowder says, I got a scented candle for my birthday one year that was called Monkey Farts. No, it didn't smell like fart, but I love the name. That is a great name. I'd be interested to know what it did smell like.
Smells like juicy fruit.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just making that shit up?
No, absolutely, 100%. In fact, I said that out in the chat, and she was like, "How'd you know that?" And I'm like, "Because there was a local candle company that had put a display in my store for several years, and
Yeah.
they had that candle. That was one of theirs, and it smells, no kidding, it smells like juicy fruit."
Then I'd probably like, because I love juicy fruit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see here. I'm gonna go down here. Gunpowder says Starbucks hot chocolate is legit. We get it for the kids. Now, that's ironic because you and I were just talking about that a couple of nights ago. Talking hot chocolate. I've never had Starbucks hot chocolate.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't think you had it. Have you gone in the last few days and got some?
I still haven't. I mean, maybe if we run into town this weekend, I may have to finally break down and give it a try. I was asking Gunpowder Beauty out there, what did they do? Because I know they have all kinds of fancy schmancy stuff. And
sure.
It looks like my go-to is going to be their signature hot chocolate without all the whipped cream. I could care less about all the whipped cream junk.
Yeah.
On top.
I don't mind whipped cream at times, but I don't want whipped cream that's going to hide the taste of the hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
so my wife brought this to me. This is her favorite. It's Dutch style, and it's called Citavo. Anybody ever heard of Citavo?
Mm-mm.
That's my wife's favorite hot chocolate. It's good. I'm not gonna, but every now and then she'll mix like dark chocolate or something into it, and I can't do that shit.
Mhm.
Can't do it. Just can't. Oh, okay. She says you don't have to drink it. Well, now that I have my own, I won't have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big dark chocolate fan. So
So there used to be one, um, and I haven't been able to hardly to find it here anymore. Somebody out there may know what I'm talking about, but it was called butternut. It was in a brown package. It was kind of like that one you showed, except for it had a white coffee cup on the front, and I think butternut. The
okay.
name was in like a yellow, and that was my favorite for the longest. But it was a little bit, had a little different flavor than Swiss Miss. But
Yeah,
yeah, for the
never heard
last
of butternut.
couple of years, may just been a regional thing. And it was around forever, ever since I was little. I can remember that hot chocolate, and then all of a sudden it disappeared, and I haven't seen it in stores anywhere.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I mean, I'll
Yeah,
try it. I'll try it. You know, it's hard to fuck up hot chocolate unless
it
you
is.
try
It
to.
really
You
is.
know,
It really,
now G
yeah.
out there says that dark chocolate is for adults, milk chocolate is candy for kids. I must be a kid
Mhm.
because I do not like dark chocolate and I love me some milk chocolate.
I can handle dark chocolate like in confections and certain things. So, like, if you took like a regular hot chocolate and you dissolved maybe a little bit of dark chocolate in it or something like that, I might be okay with that. But just eating a candy bar that's dark chocolate or something, I can't do that.
I'm not a chocolate guy,
Like,
so
ugh,
I don't like chocolate in general.
yeah, I can't do
I
that.
like chocolate cake and brownies and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but I don't do chocolate.
like
Um,
when I'll do something like, let's say, coconut macaroons or whatever, right? I always the bottoms, and then on it's I smear dark chocolate and then drizzle a little bit on the top. But there's an offset, right? There's a lot of, yeah.
yeah, G says butternut is a
Oh,
squash. Clover was drinking hot squash juice and thought it was
ah,
hot chocolate.
no, it's not. In fact, here for those that are curious, because I'm a mod, I can do it. I'll drop a link to what I'm talking. I don't know where this is at, so don't buy it from that place or anything. But I just typed it in just to see, and apparently that website's got, you can
Mm,
order it on the internet still.
there you go.
Discountcoffee.com, whatever that is.
Now I tell
Hashtag,
you what my wife does with her hot chocolate is we cook it on the stove with the milk, boil the milk and all of that. And once that kind of starts to boil, she'll right before you start boiling, she'll take like chocolate chips,
mhm.
a bag of and she'll pour some chocolate chips in the milk and let it melt into the milk while it's boiling and all that, and then you dump the hot chocolate powder and all that. But adding some chocolate chips is really really good too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, are you saying you don't like German chocolate cake? I'm. It's exactly what I'm saying. I do not like German chocolate cake. I like chocolate cake, like just regular old chocolate cake. I like chocolate cupcakes, brownies, but that's pushing the limits of what I'll eat chocolate wise. I'm just not a chocolate guy.
So the only thing that's different about a German chocolate cake, other than a regular chocolate cake, well, it's a
Mhm.
little bit different chocolate, obviously,
The different chocolate
but
and the
it's
frosting and all of that stuff,
but
the toppings.
that's just coconut and
I don't like coconut.
pecans.
Yeah,
Well, there you
and
go.
I don't like pecans.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I don't necessarily dislike pecans. I
Yeah,
don't mind pecans in something, but I'm not going to just sit around and eat pecans. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. I like German chocolate
Yeah,
cake.
yeah. My dad loved it.
That might be my favorite cake.
Yeah,
Might be.
my dad liked German chocolate cake and he liked coffee cake.
Yeah.
Coffee cake, it's what it is. Every now and then, I have to be in the mood, but
Hmm.
I can stand a piece of coffee cake every now and then.
Yeah.
All right, so man, yeah, we went down that rabbit hole for 45 minutes, didn't we? Um,
Always do.
Always do. But we'll go back into it. But we're gonna talk a little bit about tonight is maximizing your time at the range, and we're talking not for people like Clover, who can literally walk out his back door and he's on his range, but for people like the normal folk like me and most everybody else that have to go to a shooting club or go to a range, and um, it's not in your backyard and all that, and people that might have to work a lot or whatever, and you don't get to go to the range as much as you would like. How can we maximize our time? But before we get into that, I do want to go in and talk a little bit about Sunday, me and Gun Loving Grandpa, or the Tactical Fud, I'm not sure which one he is right now out there, but and then another buddy of mine's Hans, we're out to the range, just shoot, and it was wonderful just to shoot, and wasn't doing a review video, wasn't it was we were just shooting, and shot several different guns and all of that, just working on stuff, and it was wonderful. But I started thinking about maximizing your time, whether it's 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever you're going to have at the range, depending on what you want to get done, trying to maximize and get the most out of that range session, because you may not know when the next time, it might be a month or two before you get a chance to go to the range again. So maximizing your time. One thing I do want to talk about is, as I was on the phone last week with Clover, and I got an email from USCCA saying it was time to renew my RSO certification, which was nice because I totally would have forgotten about it had they not sent that reminder. So thank you, USCCA, for that. And I know that you're an NRA RSO, and a lot of people are. Whether it doesn't matter if you're NRA or USCCA, that's something that I wish more people would go through and get certified. You can never have too many RSOs out there, and if you have one RSO out there, then it depends on how many people out there. It could get, it's a lot of people for them to watch, whatever. So I'm one of those things, and I know that you're RSO, and I'm sure that you would recommend it as well. But I would recommend. I don't know how much NRA is. I really don't even remember how much the USCCA. I got it years ago. I want to say it was like $100 for the RSO class, USCCA. But the great thing about USCCA, I don't know, maybe NRA is the same. I'll let you talk about that in a second. But with USCCA is every year after that, you had to renew it every year, but every year renewal is free. So, I mean, you could go 25 years and continue that renewal certification of RSO, and you don't have to spend another dime after that initial class. So I don't know if NRA does that as well, but it's a minimal expense to really RSOs are an extremely important part of the gun community, especially at ranges. And I think there's not enough of them. And if there are out there, no one's saying they are. But I think that's been something that that might be a pretty cool present to give someone, is an NRA or a USCCA RSO certification class for Christmas. That'd be kind of cool. More people we can get out there, great. And it's not a big deal, but I just thought I'd mention that because like I said, I had to go through my recertification this weekend and all that. But NRA, do you remember how much it costs? Does it cost every year, or how does that work?
NRA, now it may have changed since I have done it as far as the first time or something like that. But no, you take it and it's 2 years.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you
G
got
was
to.
like, is it 5 years? No, but it's 2 years.
No, it's two. Well,
Okay.
like I said, unless it's changed, the
Yeah.
first time has changed. Now the renewal part has definitely not changed because that's still
Yeah.
every 2 years. But I mean, the first time you take it, is it good for
Could be
five
five.
now? I mean, it could
Could
be,
be.
but it's $30 for renewal.
Yeah. So G says NRA RSO is $125,
That's the
and he put the
class.
link out there.
That's the
That's the
class,
class. Yeah.
and that
That's the
also.
class. Yeah.
But I don't know what link he's got. But that also depends on who you're taking it from and stuff too.
True. True. Yeah. I think that's I think the USCCA was like $100.
Yeah,
Um, and G says,
I don't know that there's a
if you do
standard.
not pass the course the first time, you'll be able to take the test two more. Honestly, I don't know about USCCA. I mean, I've never not passed it. I'm not trying to just I don't know what happens if you don't pass. I'm assuming it's probably the same thing. You're going to get
Yeah,
a couple of different times.
so
Because
it
I think
boils.
you have to get like 80% or something like that to pass the USCCA exam.
So with NRA, it's going to depend again on the instructor,
Yeah,
and if you go through who I went through, there's no possible way you're not going to pass.
yeah, yeah. Interesting though this year because of I guess the cough thing. The class is done online, and instead of having to go to the range and do your scenario work, what they did this year is they filmed different, like 4 or 5 different scenarios,
Uh,
and you have to watch videos on the scenarios because they didn't want, they're not doing them in person right now, which I think is interesting.
right.
Um, so see here. C4 Sarge is out there. What's up, Sarge? G says, G, you got a link out there. You always do. I don't know why you just don't jump in. He said students must complete all 6 lessons in a short electronically administered test with a 90% pass rate in order to be certified NRA range safety officer.
That's
So there you go.
way different than when I took it then,
Is it? Yeah.
because it was not
Um,
six. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't 6 lessons because it was maybe a half a day of maybe of class time. It didn't take that
yeah.
long. It was, I'm gonna say 6 hours maybe of class time, and
Yeah.
then maybe that was their maybe the sections or whatever is what they're calling the lessons though, right?
Maybe. Yeah,
Um,
probably.
but
That's about what it is in
the,
USCCA as well.
my test was written in on a Scantron type thing, so that was not electronic. So maybe they've
Uh,
changed it.
yeah. C4 Sarge out there. $99 super chat. Thank you, brother. Banana bread before bed makes the beast sleep. Banana bread's not terrible. I have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah.
But banana bread and milk, possibly I could go with that. But yeah, G says you can do it all online now from the website.
Wow.
So he said he's still working, so here's why he's not jumping on us. I get it.
I'd rather do in person. I mean, had it to do over again in the way
Yeah,
I did it, I'd much rather do it in person. Not only do I think it was cheaper, but the amount of extra that was put into the course,
sure, sure,
especially when it come to talking about medical scenarios, various scenario range scenarios, and safety scenarios and things. Um,
sure.
there was just a lot, and instructors are going to do that. That's why everybody's course is going to be a little bit different, and some instructors are better for some people than others.
Yep, no doubt. Now, as far as being an RSO, RSOs are, I mean, we all know they're very, very, very important, and because we always want people to have a safe, fun experience at the range.
Right.
But I just thought about this while you were talking, and I know that people out there, especially weekends or something, everyone's trying to find maybe a way to possibly generate another revenue stream, even if it's just a little bit here and there for whatever. Maybe you're trying to save it for a gun. Um, you know, if you're an RSO, there are ranges out there that hold competitions that are always looking for RSOs.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll pay 25, 50, $100 a day to come RSO a match. And that might be a way you know that you do that for a few weeks and you've got that gun that you're looking at or whatever. So it could
Yeah.
generate, but more importantly, it is something out there that I think that the more RSOs that are out there, the more vigilant we're going to be at the range. Everyone's going to be, you know, looking
Yeah.
around and making sure. So, like I said, it's not a big deal. I just thought about it because I got that email. I didn't realize it. I totally forgot. I knew it was the end of the year, but I just totally forgot that. Hey, I need to renew that. So
Well, I'll tell you how out of touch I am is when you posted that. I didn't even know that USCCA had such a thing because back when I
oh,
got
okay,
mine,
yeah, sure,
mine was a prerequisite to go through all the coach training for shooting sports,
absolutely,
for youth shooting sports, right? That was a
hmm,
prerequisite. And it had to
absolutely,
be NRA. And there was specific emphasis that it had to be NRA. But I don't even know at the time if you that was decades ago, right? So there may
yeah,
have not even been USCCA back then. I don't know. So it'd be interesting to know if that's the case now. That's because I've been out of
hmm,
it for what 5 or 6 years now. So and I know they've changed stuff up a lot, and so be interesting to
yeah.
see if what the requirements are now for that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Sarge says take a tactical emergency casualty course, care class. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was last night.
Yeah.
26 people showed up, and we did a stop the bleed class last night. So I was really happy to see 26 people. I was expecting maybe
So
10 to 15, but having 26 people show up to do a stop the bleed class, I was really excited about that. So it's great.
so I get that, and I'm not going to discourage that at all. Take all the classes you can take.
Yeah,
But
sure.
from my perspective, the one that was more beneficial for me is I
Hmm.
took and it just so happens that the local people that did the American Heart Association, they did the CPR first aid,
Hmm.
also had an outdoor emergency outdoor first aid. And
Completely different class, which is awesome.
so for me, negligent discharge, somebody getting shot on the range, dealing with 200 kids out there because of the control that everybody had over the range and other
Mhm.
things. That was a highly unlikely event. However, kids getting into
Sure.
fire ants, poison oak, snake bit, blah, 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 breaking a leg, tripping in a gopher hole and breaking a leg, right? That was more likely and more pressing. So I went that route, and it was not a requirement. That was the crazy thing too, is with all of my coaching stuff, medical never was a requirement. That's something I took
Sure.
upon myself to go
It
do.
is interesting. It is
And I
interesting.
didn't even know until because I was like, okay, I really need at least CPR, right? It's like you at least need that. And they were like, well, we've got a combo CPR first aid. And then I said, oh, well, that might be good, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, oh, well, we've got this too. And I was like, well, just give me the whole
Yep.
package then.
Yeah, you do CPR, you got first aid, you got the defibrillator, and it's something that people, I think that that's usually a free class as well. Go get training how to run a defibrillator, stop the bleed, some kind of a casualty, an outdoor casual first aid would be a great one. Anything that you can do, because here's the thing, and that's kind of what we were explaining to the people last night is there's a less than 1% chance that in your lifetime you'll have to utilize stop the bleed at a gun range at our shooting club.
Oh, yeah.
Um, 99% of the chance of you having to use it is driving down the road, seeing a car accident, someone getting hurt, falling out of a tree, and their bone sticks out, and you're gushing blood, or there's all sorts of things that happen outside of the gun community that have nothing to do with guns that you'll probably have to use a stop the bleed or a casualty class, a trauma class.
Yeah.
Um, that's has nothing to do with gunshot wounds or casualties or anything like that. So we want people to get that mindset of, and I've said this before, and you've heard me say it a ton. You know, I'm all for everyone that wants to and is able to mentally and physically to make that decision to conceal carry every day of their lives. There are just some people that aren't built for it. They're mentally just not ready, prepared to take a life. That's cool. But that doesn't mean that they can't be a service to the community. Like
Right.
you said, go take a CPR, a first aid, a defibrillator, a trauma class, learn how to work a tourniquet with a stop the bleed
Right.
class and all of that.
Well,
Because at that point, if someone gets nicked with their femoral artery, you've got 4 to 4 minutes, let's say on average, before you bleed out. Typically, there an EMT will not be anywhere in 4 minutes.
no.
So if you learn how to stop the bleed and all of that stuff, you literally could save someone's life.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to carry a gun, maybe you carry a tourniquet on you, or you carry a first aid kit, an IFAK or something.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people doing that. Yeah, and Sarge says a lot of people getting hurt in their own kitchen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The great thing about an Israeli bandage and a tourniquet and all that, those are designed to be able. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong, but it's designed to be able to administer on yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
So absolutely. I'm going to cut you off several
I
times,
go
and
to
I know.
my
So
so
go ahead.
talking about working outside or in the in the workshop or whatever. I go into my med bags far more than I go into the bathroom and the medicine cabinet. Far more. Why?
Yeah.
Because I put all those together. I know what all is in there, right? And if I get hurt,
Band-aids, all
I
that.
know
Yep.
exactly. It's time management, right? Instead of
That's
going
right.
to the bathroom and digging, I can go right to that bag and know exactly where everything's at, and I can do whatever I need to do right then and there. Um,
Yep.
what I was going to say, you were talking about less than a 1% chance. that you ever utilize that.
That's not an actual factual statistic, by the
It's
way, people.
slim,
That's
right?
just
It's
me. It's just
slim to
slim.
none. We
Yeah,
know
right,
that, right? Without putting a number on
right,
it, we know it's slim to none that you'll ever utilize that in your lifetime, right?
right.
If you're not in a profession, right? Talking about
Sure,
for the average citizen.
no doubt.
However, what are the percentages you save a life in the event, in the slim event you have to? What are the percentages you actually end up saving that life? I got to think they're pretty high, right?
Sure.
So, at the end of the day, it's a trade off. And I'll say something else, and this from just working with a fire department, and it's man, it's a sad thing, especially when you're not in the military, you're not in the medical, you're not like Sarge out there, you're not a first responder or anything like that. And I guess I was to an extent with the fire department, but even in that case, um, sometimes you get on a scene and there's nothing you can do but offer comfort. I mean, that's
No,
it.
no doubt.
That's
Hundred
it.
percent.
That's it.
100%.
It's such a bad thing to watch somebody pass away, and it's like that's all you can do. That's all
Yeah.
you can do. It's just
Um,
reassure them that it'll be okay, and it's okay. Just breathe. People are on their way. Let them know people are on their way. That's all you can do.
that's right. Mandatory carry, $5 super chat. Thanks, brother. Says keep fighting, build a get home bag. Remember that 9 or 17 is coming, and there are 4 lights. Trent Trets unite. Yeah, get home bag, phenomenal. I've got one in my truck. I think most people have at least something, at least a first aid kit or a trauma kit.
And I know.
And people don't understand there is a very, very much a difference between a first aid kit and a trauma kit. And I suggest you go get both. North American Survival, I think is what it's called, North American. I don't know, that's whatever that's North Americans, where I get most of my supplies from. They're great, decent prices, really quality stuff. But get a first aid kit and get a trauma kit. 2 completely different items. Is people think that a first aid kit is a trauma kit, or if you buy a trauma kit, it's going to be everything all inclusive. That's not necessarily the case. Trauma kit are usually going to have you're going to have like some chest seals. You're going to have a tourniquet. You're going to have like an Israeli bandage. You're going to have gauze. You're going to have shears. You'll have maybe some quick clot. First aid kit's going to be exactly what you think it is: band-aids, some gauze, some ibuprofen, or whatever. North American Rescue. That's it. Thank you, G. Get both. Get a first aid and a trauma. Just put them in your car, and you'll always have them, no matter where you go. North American is great stuff. That's what most of my stuff is. You can go get a basic first aid kit at Walmart and be fine. If you're going to get a trauma kit, I suggest going to get a good one.
Yeah.
And my Medic is a good one. That's great. The True G23, but all of my important stuff is from North American. I have never had a problem with it. And I'm not saying they're the best. I'm saying that that's who I use, and they've never done me wrong with prices and quality. So
USNER Doc, who used to be on YouTube. I don't know if you've met him, I'm sure.
Sure.
He's got his own, what is it, Amp Plus or something like that, and he's got some pretty good. They've got some pretty good kits, and I mean that's a Navy doc that's put that together. So it's a lot of thought's been put into that. But yeah, to your point about there's no sense with the you can buy they're in a little white box. I think it's Johnson and Johnson little first aid kit.
Oh yeah, the little plastic.
They're like
absolutely.
$1. They're literally like $1. And if you don't have one of those in every drawer, in your workshop, in your glove box, in your toolbox, you need those all over the place.
I've got these, and you get them for about $1 at Walmart, maybe $2. I've got a ton of these.
Yeah.
Just all over the place. And I actually had to get a Band-Aid out a couple days ago for my wife. But I mean, it's basic, simple first aid kit. The first aid kit, you can get away with a basic first aid kit. But when you start talking trauma kits and all of that, if you're going to buy a tourniquet, can you get tourniquets pretty cheap on Amazon? Yep, you can. Spend an extra few dollars and get one that you're sure are going to work,
right.
Or at least get one from Amazon, put it to the test. And if it works, go order more. But tourniquets and trauma kits are, you can get a lot done with a bunch of gauze An Israeli bandage and a tourniquet. You can
Yeah.
save lives with those three items.
So
Go ahead.
so all of my what I was going to say is all of my stuff. I'm
Hmm.
not against any of the we talked about USN ER docs, my medics, good stuff. I will agree. They all have good stuff, but that's a generic kit, right? And so
Yeah.
just like even if you're talking about Aegis gun care, right, and their field kit, it's a great kit, but there's
Yeah.
things you're going to want to add. And it's the
Absolutely.
same
No
thing.
doubt.
You're going to end up if you do it right, you're going to customize. Like I was talking about with
Hmm.
outdoor care, there's all types of ointments and salves and different things that I carried, right, for stings, for
Hmm.
rashes, for whatever it might be. There's all kinds of things that I carried that you couldn't possibly, nobody could possibly build a kit that had
Sure.
all that, right? Because that's a situational type thing. So pay attention to where you travel, pay attention to what you're doing, and identify certain potential hazards, and tailor your first aid kits, your trauma kits, your things like that. Tailor them, and that cuts down on a lot of waste too, right? You don't have to go into Walgreens and buy three of everything on the shelf. If you do that, just
Yeah.
make little notes throughout your daily life and stuff, and then after a couple of weeks, go, okay, looks like I probably need these items and these items and these items the most, and focus on those.
Yeah. Mandatory carries. He packed three first aid kits in his get home bag. Bought them at Sportsman's Warehouse, and Papa Carey bought him a tourniquet. So you can get the basics. You could probably put together a really good trauma kit. Now, one thing that they usually leave out of trauma kits, and I wish they would, but you can get them for cheap on Amazon, probably even at Walmart. I don't know if they made it at Walmart, but I know you can on Amazon. And they're the reflective warmth, the heat kind of.
Oh yeah,
It's like aluminum foil,
emergency blanket.
and it's an emergency blanket, and it's like aluminum foil. But what that does is that keeps the body, because what's the one thing that happens when you lose blood?
Mhm.
You get cold, but more importantly, behind the blood loss and trauma, the second biggest reason for death behind the actual blood loss
Mhm.
is hypothermia.
Yep.
And so if you're able to do straight compression, or you have a tourniquet, but you do compression and you're able to wrap that person in one of those heat blankets,
Mhm.
that's going to help a lot. But you don't see those emergency blankets in trauma kits very often. But that's something, if you get a
Yep.
trauma kit that doesn't have one of those, go get one of those, because that's, for some reason, I don't know why,
And
but that's usually left out of them, and they're cheap.
they take up zero space. They really do.
Zero space.
Another thing. So another real quick, a use for
Yeah.
the space blanket. That's what I always called it.
Yeah.
But a use for that is, what if it's raining, right? Somebody could hold that, right? Or two people could hold that over somebody while they were
No
being
doubt.
worked on them. And that would certainly help a lot too. So there's a lot of uses for
Absolutely.
that. But along that lines of rain, weather, things like that. And another thing that is cheap, like those emergency blankets, is the ponchos, is
Yep.
the little plastic
Yep.
ponchos, and so those are a good thing too. If nothing else, to wrap if it's raining or something like that, and you've got the gauze on, you get everything dressed, right? You could
Mm.
wrap then that plastic poncho around. You could also use it to keep yourself from getting wet or whatever, but you could wrap that around to keep the dressing and everything from getting wet, so you could transport that person. So
Absolutely.
they're handy too. No more expensive than they are, because I mean you can get. I've got some here that, no kidding, I think I gave a quarter a piece for them, and I bought like
Yeah,
10
that makes
of them.
sense. Yeah,
I mean, I
it sounds
literally
about right.
bought 10 and threw them in a box, because I'm like, crap, a quarter a piece, I'll take those.
Yeah. Yeah, those there's a lot of stuff that yeah, what does that say? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it absolutely. It says blood loss takes body heat with it. Absolutely. Like I said, behind the actual loss of blood in a trauma situation,
Mhm.
behind the actual loss of blood,
Oh,
um, hypothermia is probably going to be the second reason why people would die, and you got
you
to do
know,
it. Yeah.
this weird. This turned into, we were talking about productive
Okay.
range or something, and it turned into a medical chat. But
And,
another thing is,
this is productive at the range
so,
as well, 100%.
so,
So,
another thing to think about when you're putting these kits together is ease of accessibility. And let me tell you
yeah.
what I mean. Everything in my kits um, is pretty easy to access. In other words, I'll put on fairly bulky gloves or something like that, right? To be able to simulate not getting a good grip or whatever the case may be. And all of my stuff is able to be, I got everything in. The way I do it is I organize my stuff in Ziploc bags, and then I put duct tape tabs on like the lips or whatever of the Ziploc bag. That way I don't have to
Yep.
try to fish and open anything. It's just rip and go.
Yep. Buck says he got his from the Funny Bunny
Yep.
in
Yep.
Tulsa.
They've got
Yep,
good stuff.
absolutely. They got good stuff. Um, Mandatory carry. Love this guy. He says also space blankets hide your IR signature if you want. But that's not helpful if you're trying to get rescued. This is true in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
Um, Gizzard Gary says, whatever you do, get yourself a good trauma kit. Worst case scenario, it's the best $50 you ever wasted.
They
Absolutely. And I promise you, it's kind of like what Clover was saying, and Sarge and everyone else out there saying that basic, great little $50, $70 trauma kit. You're going to add things. You're going to want to get, if it comes with a tourniquet, it's never a bad idea to have 6 of them. You never know. I mean, you never want to have to, because let's be real about it. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had to deal with this, but there are going to be some injuries that are going to require more than one, even maybe more than 2 tourniquets on someone. Let's just be real. So having a nice amount of tourniquets available to you, it's like put them in a backpack. You're not going anywhere, and they don't expire. That's a great thing about tourniquets.
Right.
They don't expire,
Now, this might not be. I mean, I don't know. When you get medical, I mean, I'm not the greatest at medical, and this
Yeah.
might not be. Other people might disagree with this, but I typically have a good tourniquet, and then what I call a good tourniquet anyway, and then I get several of those, the band type, like the SWAT tees or whatever they are.
So I
And use
have
those.
like that one is a little rat tourniquet. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I have like those, and
Yeah.
then I have like the
Yeah.
band type. Yeah, the
So
rubber
you
band
have,
type.
so you've got, there's several different kinds. I only use 2 kinds. I keep that rat on my rifle. I've got a couple rats, which is rapid applied tourniquet.
Right.
And then most of the time when you hear tourniquet, when most people think about it, it's a cat. It's called a cat tourniquet. And that's what most people, when they think of a tourniquet, is what it is.
Right.
But yeah, they've got like 4 or 5 other different types, and it's all going to work the same. It's all there to stop the bleed and all that.
Well, the
Just
band.
all first aid kit expires, maybe tourniquets do not. Is what I'm saying. Tourniquets do not. You can have as many tourniquets in your bag as you want. Just,
or depending on what
how's
it
it going to
is, right?
expire?
Well,
How's it
like
going to
for
expire?
example, right? It depends on how it's kept. Is what I was going to say, because
Okay,
if you're talking about like the SWAT tees, like I'm talking about, which is the wide rubber band stuff, and
sure.
I have those as additional, right? Or if I need to go someplace, like oftentimes for like SHOT Show or something like that, I want
Yeah,
minimal bag space and weight and stuff like that. And a lot of times I'll carry one of those instead, right? Just because it's less bulky, it weighs
yeah.
less, smaller, all that. But here's the thing: they are sealed in a package, but still, all of that is plastic, and they're basically a rubber band. And depending on hot and cold and how they're kept and stuff like that, um, I mean, sure, I mean, could they last forever? Yeah, but will they really? I mean, being like a rubber material and stuff like that, I mean, 20 years from now, depending on how you've kept them, are they really going to be good? Or are you going to stretch those around an area when you need to and try to pull them tight and they rip or something? So, um, I hear what you're saying, but be mindful of the situations that your stuff is put through, and how much time, because a lot of people don't think about that, right? They're like, oh, I've got a med kit. Well, how long have you had that? Or I've got a trauma kit, or I've got a first aid kit, and that's great. But how long has that stuff
Yeah.
been in there? And could the quality degrade on any of it? I mean, it's
Sure, but
possible.
that's
Band-aids
also
will
why I
do
say
that.
don't get a tournament from Amazon either.
Well, this is
I mean, you
true.
can, but go get it. Do you
Well,
want to spend, you know, $25 for a good tourniquet instead of getting 6 for $20
right.
off Amazon?
But I mean, band-aids are gonna after a while, even kept in optimal conditions, band-aids are just not gonna be sticky
Sure,
anymore. I mean,
sure.
there's
No, I
things
get
are
it,
gonna happen.
but it's not something you have to replace every year or every
No,
6
definitely,
months. That's what I'm
definitely
saying.
not.
Is
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
throw
no,
in a
definitely
backpack
not.
and not have to worry about them for a little while.
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't put it up and then
Forget
every
about them.
every few years, if you're
Well, I think you
and
should be pulling
hopefully
your
your
stuff out every year at least, if nothing else, just
inventory
to
can go
pull it
through.
out and go through it. And
To do that, I
absolutely,
do mine pretty regular because I keep medications. Now,
Right.
it's not a good idea to administer medications to anybody.
No, especially if they're not cognitive, because you don't know
Yeah,
what they're allergic to.
yeah.
You don't know
Now,
what other medications they're on that might not work.
I've been on the range, and again, I've got medications, and somebody go, and I think even it shows or something. You've asked for stuff,
Yeah,
and
I
you
have.
know, I hand it to you. You open the bottle, you get them
It's on
out.
me.
you know,
It's on me.
I have some. I'll do that, but I'm not handing you 2 pills or something. I'm not doing it. Nope.
Yeah.
If you're not
G's
capable of making that decision and taking them yourself, then I can't help you.
no doubt. G's got a great idea. Doing that once a year type
Yep.
thing, or once every
Yep.
couple years. Take your
Totally.
old kit, practice and train with them, and then buy a new one. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Absolutely, it's
Yep.
a great one.
And that's a good use for sutures if you've got
Yeah,
that's something you
sure.
keep around. Um, you know, take those things out and practice because they will eventually. Most of the suture kits, they're in a solution, and most of the time they'll dry out. So,
Yeah.
but you can take
You
those
know,
and just dunk them in some water or anything to practice with.
yeah. You and I have had this discussion. I don't know if it's privately or on a chat. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it publicly also, but the tourniquet that I carry on my person with me, um, I get into some heat about this, but people, there's a big thing about if you carry a tourniquet, who's it for? And I'll say that the tourniquet that's on my body is for me.
Yeah,
Like if I'm hurt, I want someone to know they come up to me, you check my pant pocket, and I'll have a tourniquet in there for me.
mhm,
Now, obviously, if I'm somewhere and I need an extra tourniquet or whatever, someone needs a tourniquet, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, no, you can't have this one because this is for me. I'm obviously it's for
right,
anyone. But
right,
ultimately, the one that I keep on my person is for me because I don't trust that people are going to have one. If I'm in an accident or something and I need a tourniquet, very few people are carrying tourniquets these days. So you know what? If someone knows how to use one or whatever, tourniquets in my right cargo pocket, and now
yeah.
there's a tourniquet for them to use on me.
Mhm.
Um,
So
it was great because there was something was said last night. Because some of us, it's gonna, tourniquets are gonna hurt. Okay, let's just be real. They're gonna hurt even when you train with them and you're not stopping the actual blood flow. They still hurt when you start twisting and all of that. But there was a great thing that was said last night. Guy said, "I can always get pain medicine, but I can't get any more blood.
right,
So if it's going to hurt, let it hurt." I was like, that's a great way of saying it. It's going to hurt you for a few minutes, but I can get you some pain medicine for that pain. I can't get you any more blood right now.
right, yeah,
So
yep.
that was a great thing that someone said last night. I want to use that.
So, mandatory carry out there, he's talking about diabetics and insulin, and that leads
Yeah,
to a good
I saw that.
point, of something that when you're talking about your med bag, your kit, your whatever, that I don't know how other people
Mhm,
feel, but I fall into this category. Water, drinking water,
mhm.
like definitely, uh,
Like water.
definitely saline for cleaning stuff too, but legitimate drinking water that's usually rotated, and then power bars. They make diabetic
Sure.
candies and stuff. I will have those. Now, those are the same things that I won't administer. If somebody
Mhm,
says, do you need a water, or they look dehydrated, or they look like their blood sugar's low, or what, I'll offer, but I'm not,
mhm.
you know, not going to administer anything. So having some type of food like that
Yeah, I'm gonna say
is a good
here you.
idea, and
I'll
water.
give someone a water because water's not really gonna hurt. But when it comes to food or medicines, like I've got this to choose from. I'm gonna put this. Use what you want. Take what you
Yep,
want.
here it is.
I'm
Yeah.
not telling you to do anything. Absolutely, yeah,
And
no
I
doubt.
have my stuff, like I said, organized in bags. So usually I'll just hand them the bag. They'll be like, "Well, I've got a headache." And probably got something for that. And I will give them the entire bag. And they're going to fish out the bottle. They're going to open the bottle. They're going to, I'm not even going to know how many they take. So, plausible deniability.
Yeah. Now mandatory carry says he carries candy because baby girl Carrie is type 1 diabetic, but what your daughter can and can't have and can handle. A
Right.
total stranger isn't going to know that information. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, obviously, if and I'm sure that you would administer the stuff for your own family. but you're
Yeah,
not going to administer it to me. Same thing is, you know exactly what your daughter can and
well,
can't have and how much.
I would
Um,
I would
your
be
wife probably
comfortable.
would.
So
Yeah,
I would be comfortable with close friends and things of that nature. But when we're
right.
talking a total
Not a
stranger,
stranger.
just
Yeah.
an acquaintance or something that you run
We're
into at
just
the
someone you
grocery
pull up
store,
into a highway that's in a car accident
even if it's a
or something.
first name basis,
Yeah,
and I see them multiple times a week in the grocery store, right? It's
right.
like, no, no, just no. Now, if it's somebody that comes over and hangs around in the house all the time and, comes over to the barbecues and we go over to their house and visit and that sort of situation, then at that point, maybe.
Yeah, we're an hour and 20 into this. I'm not even going to start maximizing. We'll do that next week. Because I'm really liking this conversation we're having with medical trauma, all of that stuff, because this is just as important as anything else. So I want to ask out there that people are listening. We've talked a lot about some of the different items in either a first aid kit or a trauma kit or whatever you want to call it. I want to know from people out there, what do you guys, is there something that you guys carry or keep in your vehicles or would recommend that we haven't talked about that might be something that would be good? And I'll ask Clover the same thing. From all the stuff we talked
Tampons,
about, is there anything else that you would suggest people might want to carry in there?
tampons, and not for the reason
Okay.
that they're created. But yeah, absolutely. That's the only
So
reason I've ever bought tampons. I just let me put that out there. But yeah,
yeah, so that's a wonderful thing, because what most people don't realize is the biggest thing with, let's just take stop the bleed. Okay, what you're trying to do is stop the bleeding, obviously, but what else are you trying to do? You're trying to get that natural clot. Okay, because that natural clot's what's going to help stop the bleed. And sometimes it's harder to get that clot to go. So sometimes, and people think, oh, use pressure, use a tourniquet. No, you can literally, if there's a cavity in someone, you can stuff gauze into that cavity, and that will help clot stuff, help the clot start and all that. But a tampon, anything that you can do that might help the process of
hmm
soaking up that blood and creating a clot somehow, some way, is wonderful. He
I
said bad
was
advice. I'm not sure why he said bad advice. I don't know what he's talking about.
and probably tampons. And I mean,
They are not for first aid.
there's debate one way or the other, but for like
You can use them.
smaller cuts and especially cuts in weird places, and especially in nosebleeds because that happens too. Especially nosebleeds happen a lot, especially if you're out in the heat. Sinus cavities can dry out and stuff, and you get people with nosebleeds. And
Yep.
a
So
little piece of
here's where I'm going with
what-
the thing also is, he says it's not going to stop the bleed or clot. I understand that. But what's the one thing that you've got to do before you even stop the bleed? You've got to get the existing blood out of that area. That can absolutely, a tampon absolutely help you clear away any blood that's already left that wound.
yeah,
That's exactly what it could be used for. Because you pull a tampon, you can go pull a rag or a t-shirt out of the back of your truck. Now, honestly, does it matter at that point? No. You'd like it to be sanitized, but at that point, if you've got a
that's one of the
t-shirt that you
biggest
wore
deals.
throughout the day, then you're going to use that. But if you have tampons or you have something that's sealed that you can
Yeah.
help and try to get that blood away, that's sanitized, it hasn't been used, we're not worried about any bacteria and infection at that point. So that's where
Yeah.
we're going with.
You
We're
can
not saying
also
stuff the crevice with a tampon, but you can utilize it in that search for
well,
getting that blood stopped in a clot.
well, what I like is the versatility, and again, we're talking a lot of outdoor stuff. We're talking a lot of cut and scrape and different things like that. But one of the other things is the ability to be able to easily cut and maneuver the sizes you need. Right? We're not talking
Mhm.
about taking a full size tampon and
Shoving
necessarily
it into
using
the
that.
hole. No.
Maybe you just need a little 3/4 inch chunk of it or something like that is really all you need.
So, G, I'm going to say this right here. Come on the show. You have a link. Explain to me why using a tampon or something like that to help clean a freaking blood off is bad old advice. I don't think it is, but you've got a link. Come on in. You need to pressure the capillary. I know that. I'm not saying a tampon is going to stop the bleed, G.
Yeah.
We never said that. We're not saying that the tampon's going to stop the bleed. Come on in. Come on in. The water's warm. We're not going to bite.
Right.
We understand that pressure is going to stop the bleed
You
or
can.
cutting off the blood circulation with a tourniquet and all
Well,
that. We get that. Compression stops the bleed. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, then we have other issues.
well, I've used them too for cleaning. Pour a little water on them, a little saline on them. You know what I mean? And you're able to a little bit more precisely clean areas. And you don't use a ton of Q-tips, right? Trying to do that either. So
On smaller cuts, yeah,
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never used them. I mean, I'm not even going to get into the debate of super bad, horrible wound or anything because I've never used them in any of those capacities. So
Well,
I'm
you
not,
said
I'm not, and I'm
nothing.
not a doctor or a nurse or anything
Yeah,
else, so I'm not going to speak to that.
neither am I. Neither am I.
But I know that I have used them for various, let's say, in a first aid kit situation, right? And
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with it.
No, it's going to absorb blood. It's going to be a way. It's going to be sanitary. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
Once again, infection's a big thing. If the only thing you have is a sweaty grease rag or something in the vehicle, obviously if that's what you have,
Use
I
it.
mean, you take your shot with it somehow. But I mean, if you've got something that is going to be in a seal that could help clear away any blood that's on the surface, that's something that you want to do because you're not going to have to worry about infection. Infection is a big deal. Um, G23 says nasal tubes in different sizes and learn how to use them. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's a
Mm,
pretty good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, nasal tubes. Yeah, trash bags and rolls of paper towels. Sure, we're
yep.
talking about the same thing. You can put a bunch of, tell you what, you can keep a bunch of paper towels inside of a trash bag to keep them dry and all of that. And then obviously you have it for,
Yep.
trash bag as well. But yeah, nasal tubes, that's a good one. Let's see here. Anything else that you think people might want to think about carrying their car or to go home, get home bag or a first aid bag, whatever you're talking about?
Well, I'll tell you something when you start dealing with and we're talking you I don't know, you got to be a little careful with it, but um like Oragel works wonders, man. If you're talking about
It's
like
like
minor,
numbing
well, yeah,
for
like
numbing.
for like minor
Sure.
cuts, and we're talking about kids that don't handle pain very well, that type of thing, right?
Sure.
Cuts and scrapes and other things. Um, the Oragel can do wonders. You got to be careful. You don't want Oragel in a absolutely open wound or anything crazy like that. But I mean, it's made to go in your mouth. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, it
but
does. It does numb. It is going to
yeah,
numb a little bit.
yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah.
think they've got. But I think they've got. I think they've got. As I'm saying that, it's like I think they've got Neosporin that does that now.
Oh, I'm sure they do. There's probably all sorts of numbing gel that's probably a little bit better, a little bit stronger than probably stuff that you don't want to put in your mouth type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, good flashlight batteries, 100%. That's just that's one of those
Well,
that's
I've
given.
got as far as me, I've got legit lidocaine. So, and it don't get much better than that.
Of what?
Lidocaine.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so, I mean, I could literally stitch you up and you wouldn't feel it.
Yeah, they've got all. I wouldn't stitch anybody up. That's just me.
I said I could. I said I
Oh no, I
could.
understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not even gonna.
I've
No,
never used it for those
no,
purposes, but I could, I
no. I
could,
get it.
I
Yeah,
could
for
deaden
sure.
a pretty good area with
I
with
honest
it.
to God,
It's
I
top,
don't
it's
know
topical
if I.
lidocaine. It's not
I
injectable
I
lidocaine.
could I could, but it's not going to be really good because sewing is not my strong suit. But I
Yeah, I
could
mean, and
I could
it's
figure out a way to get something close if I absolutely had to. But chances
yeah.
are, I it sounds bad. I'm
Well,
probably using a stapler. If I had to.
they sell a lot more pain in that, but
I understand.
they
Once again,
sell.
I can give you pain medication, but I can't give you more blood. I
Well,
love that line. I'm going to use that.
you're talking about Amazon, but I mean they sell suture practice
Yeah,
kits,
they do. Yeah,
and
they
they're
do.
not super expensive. And part of the deal with that, again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not medical personnel, but part of the deal with sutures is identifying the shape of the wound area and other
Mhm.
things. That kind of gives you an idea of what technique to use. and where to start, where to start the sutures and stuff like that. But when you're talking about fairly small stuff that only require a couple of stitches, you know what I mean? It's like even around the house, why go to the emergency room and pay a big bill or a
Yeah.
deductible or whatever? If you got really good insurance, go to the emergency room, right? But if you don't, and it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars or whatever, then break out the lidocaine and the suture kit, put two
Yeah.
stitches in your thing, and be done.
Yeah, mandatory cares is fun fact. I didn't know this. Fun fact: Listerine was originally developed to
Yep.
clean wounds just after this. So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why it has alcohol in it, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Well, the original, I don't know if it does anymore, but
Burns
it
like a
used to have.
mofo too.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to.
But yeah,
It's also
how you
protecting
know
from
how you
disease
how you know it's
infection.
working? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. Yes, this turned
Any
in.
antiseptic,
Yeah, but yeah, I love the movies. You see them pouring a bottle of vodka or something on there.
right.
Um, you know,
The
whatever. I guess.
problem with that, folks, just before we dive down that rabbit hole, um, if it's like legit alcohol, then that's one thing. But you got to realize that
Not drinking alcohol.
a lot of things nowadays, whiskeys and vodkas, they have flavorings,
Mhm.
they have sugar, they have all kinds of things in there that could actually be bad if you poured that on a wound. So uh, I wouldn't necessarily advise that. If that's all you had, all I had around, and I absolutely had to have something, I might would take a
Yeah.
chance. But
Jesse says that unscented, no applicator tampons are
yeah,
amazing for nosebleeds. I would imagine they would be. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yep,
Like I said, I'm. It's one of those things where we're gonna take the topic that I've already changed the title on YouTube. We're gonna take the topic that maximize your range and do it maybe next week or something because it went down a nice little path with medical training, but that's just as important as any other kind of training is to receive that stuff and first aid, CPR, defibrillator, stop the bleed, a trauma, outdoor trauma, all sorts of stuff. They're all important to saving someone's life. So absolutely. And here's a great thing about most of these classes, you can get them for free. Most of your hospitals or EMTs or even doctors in the area, whatever, some nurses, whatever. Most of these classes you can find either for free or a very, very, very minimal charge, um, which is great. Which is great because they need EMTs and all that. They need people to have training because once again it might take them 10-15 minutes to get somewhere
yeah.
um and that person's bled out by then you know so yeah, it's one of those things to where that kind of training is always important. Yeah, that was a fun conversation, Clove. Go ahead and take a few minutes and what kind of projects are you working on? Anything special coming down the line?
Mm, not particularly. Unfortunately, at the risk of sounding like some other channels that we don't necessarily like, um, there is some stuff coming, but unfortunately, I can't talk about it. I can talk about that Diamondback Sidewinder. So I did hear from them, and
Okay.
I guess the Thanksgiving holidays and other things, but that is on the way, and I can't talk about that. That's no secret. Um, so that's going to be interesting, man. A double action 22 revolver that looks like a single action revolver,
Right.
so a cowboy revolver. But that's going to be interesting. I don't know what to think about that. Um, and then I did drop a video today. Of course, everybody's dropping videos, but with all of the
All you're doing is chasing trends, my man. That's all
yeah,
you're doing.
I am. I am. Well, those that are regulars on the channel seen the poll from days ago where I said, "Hey, should I do this?" And the vast majority of people said, "Yeah, I should." So it just takes me longer to get things produced and uploaded and done than other people that have made their videos on the subject. But um, yeah, with the whole Alec Baldwin thing, I've had a lot of people, a lot of comments, a lot of traction. Nothing viral, but definitely a surge in pretty much every single video on my channel that has a single action revolver. I've got people asking questions about them and everything else. And is this true? I mean, could it have just gone off and blah blah blah? And so I thought, well, I've got several videos that talk about that, but never in the context of let's look at exactly how the hammer works in relation to the trigger and what you can and can't do to get that firing pin to move forward. And so I did drop that video today, and it's doing well. It seems to be answering some of the questions people have about that. So if you're not familiar with single action revolvers, check that out. I think it's educational in that respect, and then make your own conclusions from everything, because that whole tragedy, there's so much assumption and
Oh yeah.
speculation and everything else that goes on. It's just a very, very horrible situation. So look at the things that can factually be represented, which is how a single action revolver is supposed to work when it's maintained and functioning properly, and then make your form your opinions from there is what I say. So yeah, it was a really weird rabbit hole, but a fun rabbit hole. So
Yeah, it
what do
was.
you
It
do?
was something. What do you go with the flow?
By the
Right. So
way,
you flow.
everything
Yeah,
I've said on here, again, this is like the fifth time I've said this, but I'm not a doctor, a nurse, medical personnel, EMT,
that's right.
at all, period. So anything
Yep.
I've talked about, do your own homework and do it at your own risk. I'm just telling you what's worked and what's my opinions are.
Yeah. Mandatory carry says, I believe it was an accident. That's the only thing he said that I believe. That's fair. Uh, I think it was an accident in this in the sense that he did not mean to shoot someone. I don't think he intended to shoot someone with a live
It
round.
was it was a very tragic accident,
Yes.
and I'm gonna say very tragic. All
Yeah.
loss of life is tragic. I'm gonna say very tragic, just simply because of the number of things that went wrong that
It
led
could
up
have that could have been.
could have
Yeah.
changed the outcome. Yeah,
Yeah. Any
yeah,
any one of them could have,
yeah.
you know.
And something as simple as I didn't, there's several things, because I didn't want to get into the speculation on it in that video. I just wanted to talk about how the revolver worked. But you know, everybody is pointing to Alec Baldwin and he pulled the trigger, and I get it. But somebody got loaded ammunition onto the set. Somehow it got onto the set. How did that happen? How did it get loaded? How did why on God's green earth, with
Mm.
everybody out here that makes videos for YouTube and puts a camera down range to film themselves from the muzzle end of the gun, why was there two people standing in front of a gun to begin with? It
Mhm.
just, there's so many things that boggle my mind. And yeah, you're right. Any one of those could have been handled differently and could have potentially changed the outcome.
Yep. There's 37, and not factually, not literally,
Yeah.
but there's 37 things that went wrong, and a combination of any two of them probably would have saved lives.
And what's I think is going to be bad moving forward. And I say bad. What's going to be frustrating moving forward is there going to be people that, regardless of whatever happens with the court or the investigation or
Mm-hmm.
whatever is found out, they're absolutely going to not be happy
Mm-hmm.
with the situation. But the truth of the matter is, because there are so many questions, being able to hang this squarely around the neck of Alec Baldwin, just prepare
Yeah.
yourself for that. It's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
There are way too many questions up in the air with this thing right now. And so
Now
I don't
he's
know.
not doing anything to help himself by. I
No,
mean, he
definitely
just needs
not.
to keep his mouth shut and
Definitely not.
let
And
it.
it's
mm,
and it's disheartening to see,
Yeah.
because I think he was handling it really well when it
Initially,
first
sure,
happened. When it first
absolutely.
happened. And now he's just kept running his head and opening his mouth, and it's just like, dude, why did you not stay on the path you were on before? Of You were remorseful, you were in
Yep.
communication with the families, you were,
Yep.
open and honest and available to, anybody that had questions, and the
Yep.
investigation that was going on. What happened? Why are you doing this? And I mean, I don't know. Is
I
is
think.
is
I
any
think
is
it's
any press good press or whatever? Maybe,
no, no.
but I don't think so.
I think for him, and Travis out there says him saying he pulled a trigger, he didn't pull a trigger is going to help him if they find a gun faulty, blah blah blah. I
Yeah,
think that a lot of what we're seeing in the last couple weeks about not pulling the trigger and different things that have come out from him and
mhm,
his camp in the last week or two, I think is and I might be wrong and I might be reading too much into this, but I think it's a preemptive
So
strike to help any civil cases that could be coming. I don't
yeah,
know.
and
I don't
and
know.
and I can tell you from experience, um, if you've ever been out on a range, and good Lord, over the decades I've seen it, I don't know how many times, and there's been a negligent discharge. What's the first thing that person says?
Holy shit!
And then
I
what's the
didn't mean. I
what's the
didn't mean
second
to
thing?
do that.
Or
Yeah.
my finger wasn't even on the trigger,
Oh
right?
well. Yeah. That too. Yeah.
My finger wasn't
I
even on
would.
the trigger. I can't tell you the number of negligent discharges that I've witnessed that people have said that.
Be
Now,
like, yeah, it
to
was, and
be
it's okay.
fair,
It happens.
only in well, let me back up. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody immediately say that after a negligent discharge.
Sure.
They stop, range goes cold, their firearm is checked out, and it's 100% functional. Well, if it's 100% functional, then you had your finger on the
The
trigger,
finger was on that trigger.
right?
Yeah.
Whether
No
you
doubt.
thought
Hands
it
down.
was or not, right? So
Yep.
him thinking his finger was not on the trigger is completely valid.
Sure.
He cannot be lying about that. He may honestly have not thought
Yeah.
his finger was on the trigger. Because here's the other thing. I've had people say that. We checked their gun, it's fine. And it just so happens that people were filming. And we go back and check, and guess what? And when we show
Well,
them that their finger was on the trigger, it blows their mind because they genuinely believed their finger never touched the trigger because it was a light brush, or you know what I'm saying? It wasn't
sure.
intentional. They didn't intentionally have their finger on the trigger. So in their mind, their finger wasn't on the trigger.
Yeah. And we're talking about the use of a single action revolver in this movie. It's not going to take much to get that trigger to go. Secondly,
Yep.
it's a movie set. We have to imagine and assume that there's at least one or two or three cameras at any given time filming. So if it comes down to it, there probably should be some sort of video evidence. Whether or not it ever sees the light of day, I don't know. But if it's on a movie set, we would have to assume that there is at least
I
one
haven't
camera filming. You know,
I haven't heard anything that there was
I
any
haven't either, but
cameras
you have to
rolling,
assume.
and
But
you
you
would
have to
think
assume it.
if it was a dry walkthrough, then maybe not. Maybe they
Yeah,
were just trying to figure
but
out.
there's so many people that have a camera going at all times, if for no other reasons, just to have this B-roll that they
Right.
might splice into
Right,
something, you know?
right, or just
I
personal,
mean,
right? Just
just
personal
personal,
people.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
right, yeah.
And we might not ever know what really happened.
That's a whole
And
other 3-hour show on its own, though.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go. Yeah, it's mandatory carry security cameras. At the very, you would think so. You would think that security cameras are going to be around any set because the studio wants to have protection from things that happen as well. So, anyways, yeah, whole another rabbit hole, a very deep rabbit hole that I don't want to go down right now. We might do that later, whenever. Probably not, but maybe. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. If you're out there, go ahead and give us that thumbs up if you like what you hear, and if you don't, give us a dislike thumb. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
The
It's
numbers
all
don't show
engagement.
anymore anyway, so
Yeah, that and it's all engagement. It's all good. But if you do like it, hit that thumbs up. Maybe subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this in podcast form and they have a rating system or anything like that, go ahead and hopefully, if you like it, give us a good rating on that podcast platform and all of that. Till next week, guys, we shall see you. Semper Fi.